Good morning, friends. Happy Wednesday. 37. Oh, Wyoming. I thought that said West Virginia. It's 37 in Wyoming? Wow. Is it usually that cold? Is Wyoming? My husband always talked about moving to Wyoming. What the heck? Thanks anyway. Why is it so cold there? I forgot to add sweetener to my coffee. Yeah, save that for later. Go back and fix that. That's gross. I'm having deja vu. I feel like yesterday was the 19th, but it wasn't. I'm a little messed up in the head today, FYI. Fair warning. Okay. I may have trouble reading this. I got a terrible headache and my eyes are, I don't know. I'm having that kind of morning. All right, June 19th. Jehoahaz rules in Israel, 2 Kings 13, 1 through 7. Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, began to rule over Israel in the 23rd year of King Joash's reign in Judah. He reigned in Samaria 17 years, but he did what was evil in the Lord's sight. He followed the example of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, continuing the sins that Jeroboam had led Israel to commit. So the Lord was very angry with Israel, and he allowed King Hazael of Aram and his son Ben-Hadad to defeat them repeatedly. Then Jehoahaz prayed for the Lord's help, and the Lord heard his prayer, for he could see how severely the king of Aram was oppressing Israel. So the Lord provided some rescue to the Israelites from the tyranny of the Arameans. Then Israel lived in safety again as they had in former days. But they continued to sin, following the example of Jeroboam. They also allowed the Asherah pole in Samaria to remain standing. Finally, Jehoahaz's army was reduced to 50 charioteers, 10 chariots, and 10,000 foot soldiers. The king of Aram had killed the others, trampling them like dust under his feet. The end of Jehoahaz's reign, 2 Kings 13, 8 through 9. The rest of the events in Jehoahaz's reign, everything he did to the extent of his power, are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. When Jehoahaz died, he was buried in Samaria. Then his son Jehoash became the next king. Jehoash rules in Israel, 2 Kings 13, 10 through 11. Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, began to rule over Israel in the 37th year of King Joash's reign in Judah. He reigned in Samaria for 16 years, but he did what was evil in the Lord's sight. He refused to turn from the sins that Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had led Israel to commit. The end of Joash's reign, 2 Kings 12, 17 through 21. About this time, King Hazael of Aram went to war against Gath and captured it. Then he returned to attack Jerusalem. King Joash collected all the sacred objects that Jehoshaphat, Jehoram, Ahaziah, the previous kings of Judah, had dedicated, along with what he himself had dedicated. He sent them all to Hazael, along with the gold in the treasuries of the Lord's temple and the royal palace. So Hazael called off his attack on Jerusalem. The rest of the events in Joash's reign and everything he did are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Judah. Joash's officers, oh my word, plotted against him and assassinated him at Beth Milo on the road to Selah. The assassins were Jozachar, son of Shimeath, and Jehozabad, son of Shomer, both trusted advisors. Joash was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. Then his son Amaziah became the next king. 2 Chronicles 24, 23 through 27. In the spring of the year, the Aramean army marched against Joash. They invaded Judah and Jerusalem and killed all the leaders of the nation. Then they sent all the plunder back to the king in Damascus. Although the Arameans attacked with only a small army, the Lord helped them conquer a much larger army in Judah. The people of Judah had abandoned the Lord, the God of their ancestors, so judgment was carried out against Joash. The Arameans withdrew, leaving Joash severely wounded, but his own officials plotted to kill him for murdering the son of Jehoiada the priest. They assassinated him as he lay in bed. Then he was buried in the city of David, but not in the royal cemetery. The assassins were Jozachar, the son of the Ammonite woman named Shimeath, and Jehozabad, the son of the Moabite woman named Shomer. The account of the sons of Joash, the prophecies about him, and the record of his restoration of the temple of God are written in the commentary on the book of Kings, his son Amaziah became the next king. Elisha's final prophecy. 2 Kings 13, 14 through 23. When Elisha was in the last of his illness, King Jehoash of Israel visited him and wept over him. My father, I see the chariots and charioteers of Israel, he cried. Elisha told him, get a bow and some arrows. And the king did as he was told. Elisha told him, put your hand on the bow. And Elisha laid his own hands on the king's hands. Then he commanded, open that eastern window. Then he opened it. Then he said, shoot. So he shot an arrow. Elisha proclaimed, this is the Lord's arrow, an arrow of victory over Aram. For you will completely conquer the Arameans at Aphek. Then he said, now pick up the other arrows and strike them against the ground. So the king picked them up and struck the ground 3 times. But the man of God was angry with him. You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times, he exclaimed. Then you would have beaten Aram until it was completely destroyed. Now you will be victorious only 3 times. Then Elisha died and was buried. Groups of Moabite raiders used to invade the land each spring. Once, when some Israelites were burying a man, they spied a band of these raiders. So they hastily threw the corpse into the tomb of Elisha and fled. But as soon as the body touched Elisha's bones, the dead man revived and jumped to his feet. King Hazael of Aram had oppressed Israel during the entire reign of King Jehoahaz. But the Lord was gracious and merciful to the people of Israel, and they were not totally destroyed. He pitied them because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And to this day, he still has not completely destroyed them or banished them from his presence. 2 Kings 13, 24 through 25, 796 BC. King Hazael of Aram died, and his son Ben-Hadad became the next king. Then Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, recaptured from Ben-Hadad, son of Hazael, the towns that had been taken from Joash's father, Jehoahaz. Jehoash defeated Ben-Hadad on 3 occasions and recovered the Israelite towns. Oh, am I the only one that struggles to form a good thought when you have a headache and struggles to read? My words feel like they get scrambled and I hate that feeling. All right. Put it into practice. It's transformative and powerful to look at your body and agree that God made it good. Hope and healing spring up when we remember the moments when our bodies have been named unkindly and partner with the Spirit of God to rename them good. But you want to talk about world-changing, freedom-fighting, warrior princess type behavior? Look at the world and say, this body was never yours to weigh in on in the first place. To end this section, I'm going to invite you into a few questions and practices that may help you remain in the brave space of renaming. We're going to do the first section today. First, some hard questions. How much media do you consume on a daily basis that glorifies an ideal body? Remember, the amplification of an ideal body is almost always subtle. For me, this has been one of the most meaningful shifts in my movement toward agreeing with the kingdom body mindset. I didn't realize how desensitized I'd become towards images that asserted a standard level of beauty, or one that we could all at least aspire to reach one day. Removing the media, I was voluntarily signing up for shows, magazines, certain Instagram accounts, and it gave my mind and soul a little more space to access the strength I needed to continually name my own body as good. Number 2, what do you think it would look like for you to agree and act like your body belongs to God? Later, we'll talk about worship as a path to restoration in our bodies, but it's good for all of us to get in the mindset of asking ourselves this question. For each of us, naming our body as good looks different in application, and throwing off any allegiance to the world will also look different. What does it look like for you? What action steps would that involve? How often do you willingly consent to conversations about bodies, anyone's, where the undertone is negative, critical, or overtly evil? This is as simple as talking about your thighs with a friend at the pool, or as destructive as defaming someone else's body right to their face. Either way, as women who are made in the image of God and believe our bodies reside in the kingdom, this kind of talk has to go. All right. We'll pick up tomorrow. Who be texting me? It's my mother. All right. Let me go ahead and read through the chat. Oops. Yeah, it's hot on this side. I know it's been really hot in Maine too. Jennifer, my auto responder, because there was the number 5 in your message, auto responded with an invite to my 5 free days of coaching. It says, Jennifer Long, check your DM. It's because I sent you an invite. It was an automatic thing. Sorry about that. I've got to turn it off. Oh. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate that. 102 in Ohio yesterday, 90 in Kansas. All right, my friends, let's go ahead and end in prayer. God, our Holy Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessing that is each and every day that you allow us to wake up and go about our day. We just thank you for the message in your word this morning. Thank you for this chronological Bible that makes things so much easier to understand. Thank you for your provision of that. Thank you for this devotional Bible that is, or a devotional book that we're reading that is sometimes very difficult to read and difficult to respond to questions like how long are we spending on media where bodies are glorified, and how are we renaming our bodies? God, I just thank you for this book. I thank you for this tough message for all of us to listen to and learn from and grow in our love for you as we learn to love our bodies that we've been given. As we go through our day, I pray that you will help us to honor you with everything that we say and do, with everything we speak to others online, in person, at the grocery store, to strangers. Just help us to honor you. And I pray that everything that we put in our mouths today will be a form of worship to you, that we will keep in mind what you want for our bodies as we go through our day. In your precious name, amen. Okay, sweet friends, thank you for joining me this morning. I'm not going to cook live this morning because I think I have a Zoom at 9. I'll think. Yep, 9:30. And I have a bunch of stuff to get done today. I'm going to have cantaloupe and cottage cheese again this morning because I love it and I have plenty left over. So I hope you all have an amazing Wednesday. And if you're in the free group, make sure you go participate in all the things today. I love you so much.